What's going on, everyone? It's Simon, and today we're going to be talking about a waterproof light that has actually intrigued me. We're talking the Litra Studio. Before I dig into the video and all of the things I love about this light and the things I'm not a huge fan of with this light, I do want to be fully transparent. I am an ambassador of Litra as a company. I've been using their products since I was first introduced to the Litra Pro a few years ago, and this is probably my favorite light. I've talked about it multiple times, links up here, and yeah, so it's one of those things that I love the company, I've loved the company, and they're not paying me to make this video, but I do love their products. And if you click the link below, you get 15% off and I get a cut. So you're helping me pay some bills too. That being said, I am not going to tell you all the good things about this light because there are some things that I don't like or things that don't really matter to me that might be mattering for someone else. But I'm gonna tell you everything I think about this light. And so yeah, let's get into it now. I first got my hands on this light at Photo Plus in fall 2019, which was about 9 months ago. And from the moment I first got my hands on it, there was a lot of things I instantly loved about it. And while I'm not a big RGB person, having some of the effects from it, and I don't mean the dance club effect, I mean, it's cool and all, but one of the lighting effects that I actually found super interesting was actually like the candle that gives you that nice little subtle effect, and then the fire effect as well. Just giving that like little added flair that I could put into a video. And a lot of that's because the work I do doesn't necessarily lend itself to full rgbww lighting, but it does require really good light when I need it, and when I need a lot of power in it, this thing also gives off a lot of light. Exactly how much? I don't know. I'm not one of those super technical guys, but what I do know is that I could really bounce this light off of a wall or a ceiling if I had to. It also comes with this awesome rubber diffusion cover, which is super similar to the little rubber diffusion that comes with the Litra Pro, which is what I use 99% of the time when I'm using it. And it gives you a lot of flexibility just with this. It's super simple to use, and it's all based off of dials and a few buttons on the back. That's general use of it. It also has preset menus for like gels and the effects and stuff like that. So it's super great for that. And what I wanted to do is kind of walk through some of the testing I've done with it, and we're gonna shoot a little bit as well using the light to light myself. But I wanted to do a little side-by-side just to show you how much bigger it is than the Litra Pro, which you've heard me talk about the Pro before, and so having the Studio, which is just that much bigger and more powerful, gives me a step-up option for shooting interviews. This is something that I would use all the time when I'm shooting interviews as my key light. Just because it is a bigger, more powerful source, I'm able to overpower the sun with it. This was actually one of the first tests I did. When I was out camping with Andy in West Virginia, we actually did a test outside that I'm gonna cut to right now. All right, so I'm at 100% on this at 5,600.
At 4 feet away.
At about 4 feet away, and getting pretty solid fill. Moving back to 6 feet, like that's still adding a lot in from a pretty decent distance. Let's wrap around. So now would you say like I'm 8 feet away?
Yeah.
8 to 10, and I'm really actually getting some punch in, like a little, like just
bugs.
Like the area that I'm seeing it most is right on like under your hat. Like it's just adding that little bit of no. Like when I tilt up, like it's literally like eliminating the shadow under your hat, which is what I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
What I was looking for during these tests was the ability to overpower daylight. And obviously if it's super sunny with not a cloud in the sky, I'm gonna struggle with this to overpower. But the fact that on a kind of cloudy, partly cloudy day, we're able to overpower the sun from about 6 to 8 feet away was actually a really incredible test to sit there and watch exactly how it was able to, even with the color, still have a little bit of an effect on the image that we're able to get out of the camera. That was one of the things that really intrigued me, because that's the type of situation that I run into so many times, is the fact that I am outdoors. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know what type of situation I'm going to run into, but the fact that I could still use the light and get some sort of light shape with it was incredibly awesome, because quite frankly, I can't do it with the little Litra Pro just because it's not big enough and powerful enough, as handy as it is. That being said, I also think that this is not as easy to carry around for me when I am just popping around. But like perfect example, when I was in Ethiopia, I had one of these on an articulating arm with a clamp that I could literally just like throw somehow, some way in any room that I needed to add a little bit of light. I don't think I could do the same with this. It's just too big and too heavy. That's pretty much my main con with this, is the weight, but you can only do so much with it because the battery is massive and it's made out of metal, which is needed to be that mil spec, and it's also a giant heatsink. Plus, this battery is not a small battery, and one of the cool things is it has USB ports for charging, and also you could use it as a battery bank. Nice little added touch there, Litra. Boom. Yeah, so that really is my big con in it. Now, as far as being in a more controlled environment, I'm going to cut to that right now, where I'm actually going to set up this room using this light. Give me like 2 minutes. Wow. All right, there we go. So right now I have the Litra Studio lighting me with just the rubber diffusion cover, with 2 other Litra Pros, one down low behind me and then one up here on the side. That's set at 5600. This is set at 5400. That one has the rubber diffusion cover on it. This one behind me does not. And this is a simple interview setup that I could use pretty much anywhere in the world. And while I'm lit by this, I did want to talk briefly about one of the cool things with the Studio. While it doesn't come in the same package as the Studio, the actual accessory package is pretty interesting from Litra. So if you buy the modifier kit, it comes with everything you see here. So it comes with a softbox, with a honeycomb grid and barn doors, which is pretty much all you could need for a lot of it, especially with the fact that it's already RGB, so you don't have to worry about gels and things like that because it's built in. And so I just absolutely love all of the goodness that comes from this little package. And I've used it a couple times on different things, but it's, again, a little bigger than what I would normally carry. I normally would just have that base kit with the rubber. However, I think there's many situations that I could find where the barn doors would come in handy, just because you get into certain rooms and you need to be able to control some of that spill. And this definitely would be worth carrying overseas with the rest of my kit. And they do make the barn doors for the little Litra Pro, which I do use from time to time. But again, there's something about the simplicity of the rubber cover which I just absolutely love and adore, and it just makes my life easier. Oh, all right, so the Litra Pro. What are my favorite things about it? What do I not like so much about it? Well, my favorite thing is that it's insanely bright. and you have a lot of flexibility between the color temperature adjustments and the color effects and the colors. It's just a really well-rounded light. It's not that big, but it's big enough that it's a large enough source that you can really do a lot with it, especially if you're using the softbox, which makes it a little bit bigger. And then at the same time, the battery does last a really long time, because you really shouldn't need to use it at 100% all the time. But if you need to, you do still have pretty good battery life with it. And the fact that the battery is removable comes in clutch, so you can carry a couple of the batteries and then swap them out and charge while you're still working. So that is another super handy thing. One of the other things I really like is the fact that it's waterproof. I don't have to worry about it getting rained on when I'm out shooting in the middle of the jungle or wherever. It's just don't have to stress about it. And that's another thing that I love about the Pro, because it's the same thing. The biggest and really my main con with it is just the weight. And I get it. It has to be heavy because there's so much going on with it. You need heat sink ability and you need to have the controller and all that stuff inside. I understand it, but it still is heavy and would make me reconsider, because just looking at the size, like if I paired 3 of the Pros, I think I'd be a little lighter with 3 Pros, but it doesn't give me not quite as much punch as it does for the straight Studio. But I mean, for the money, it's an incredible tool. And when I say the money, it's not cheap like some of your lights that are out there. It is $649 on their website for the Litra Studio. However, there's no other, to my knowledge, rgbww light out there that you can put 10 meters underwater and basically drive a tank over. I wouldn't necessarily try driving a tank over it, but the build quality of this is incredible. And then the light modifiers, if you want to buy the whole kit, comes in at $120. You can buy just the softbox for $50. Again, this is not going to be the light for everyone, but if you're someone that wants a really well-built, almost indestructible light that can do rgbww, I'd say this is your light. If you're looking for something that's really light and nimble just to throw a little bit of light into space, definitely go with like the little Litra Pro. Yeah, that's really all I've got to say about them. If you have any questions about the Litra Studio, leave a comment down below. I'd be glad to answer them. If you guys are curious about anything else with Litra, also leave that down below. Any other type of question, hit me up over on Instagram at Simon Eisenbach. That's all I got for you today. Have a great week. I'll see you guys next time.